Hey guys, we're the Sports Addicts podcast, and we're back again today with a Dalvin Cook breaking news video. He has signed a 5-year, $63 million deal, and he gets $28 million guaranteed. And for a guy that's played only 28 games, do you think this deal is worth it or not?
Yeah, so I think that it's definitely a good deal in Minnesota. I think that it's not the best. I think if you compare it to Alvin Kamara's deal, I think Dalvin Cook is a little more risky, which is why the money is also lower. But I think that you look at the guaranteed, I think that's a pretty good amount of guaranteed in my opinion. I think that that's like about 2 years out of the 4 years are really guaranteed. So if they can technically move on from him after 2 years. So I think that I think it's definitely a fair deal to Dalvin Cook. I think he deserved his money, obviously. But I think that it's definitely a risk as well because Dalvin Cook has an injury history. He's torn an ACL before. Last season, he couldn't finish the season healthy, and I don't know. I think it's definitely a risky deal compared to other running backs who've been getting paid like Joe Mixon or Christian McCaffrey or Alvin Kamara. But I think that Dalvin Cook definitely deserves the money. He's definitely a top 5 running back when he's on the field, and I think that Minnesota did the right thing, pretty much.
Right, but when you think about it, when Cook missed a few games last year to injury, and the replacement running back Alexander Madison, he wasn't any Dalvin Cook, but he was still serviceable. If you get what I'm saying, like Cook's presence is ever so important, right? Last year in Kevin Stefanski's scheme, Kirk Cousins thrived in that play action, and the reason play action works so well was with Dalvin Cook. And now you think they're moving on to a new offensive coordinator, and the fact that Kirk Cousins did pretty good when Madison was on the field. Like, as with Kamara, I mean, Kamara's probably more valuable to that Saints team, but I just feel like Dalvin Cook's not as valuable as people make him out to be. Like, the Vikings can win with another running back. I mean, like, this is true for, like, basically almost all the running backs. The running back position is not that important. Like, as we saw in, like, so many drafts, you can draft a 4th round or 5th round running back or potentially an undrafted free agent, and they'll still give you good production. So I just feel like this deal was another overpay in like in like a sudden series of like a big running back extension. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely risky. Like, as you said, I think that Alexander Madison did play well in this short time, but it's not enough to prove himself, right? Like Dalvin Cook, what he does is he's another running back that's not just a runner. If he was just like a running back that just runs the football really well, I think he's definitely replaceable. But what his impact is when he's on the field and he catches footballs is just really important to that Minnesota Vikings team. I don't think they would make the playoffs without Dalvin Cook, and I think it was definitely a must sign. Maybe the money is a little bit too much, but I think that the guarantee money, in my opinion, is pretty good. I was worried they're going to give him like 3 years out of the 5 years guaranteed, and that's definitely a more of a risk because if Dalvin Cook gets one more like big injury, he's pretty much done for his career. So it's at least a good thing for Minnesota is that they locked him up, and now they don't have to worry about at least this season of losing him to free agency.
Yeah, and as with the Saints situation, we also have like the Vikings are not exactly like they're not in a pristine cap space situation. And now after trading for ngakoue, who's definitely going to want top tier edge rusher money, as well as having guys like Anthony Harris to re-sign Danielle Hunter. How do you see this playing out? Do you see them like potentially trading one of those guys because they don't have enough money to retain all of them?
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of worried for Minnesota. I think that Dalvin Cook, if you look at Dalvin Cook's production, he's only been really good for 1 year. That's why I'm really worried about him. But compared to like Kamara, who's been good his whole 3 careers, making the Pro Bowl every season. If you look at Dalvin Cook, he made it for 1 season, and that was his past year, and he still wasn't really fully healthy. So I think it's definitely a risk for Dalvin Cook. And I think that when you look at the other signings they need to do, I think Danielle Hunter's first priority. Ngakoue, they spent a 2nd-round pick on to get him from Jacksonville. They pretty much have to sign him. And I think Anthony Harris is probably going to regress this season. I think he's more of a 1-year wonder than many people talk about him as. And I think this year they franchise tagged him for a reason. I think that he's probably a trade candidate at the deadline this year.
Yeah, and one last question for you. So this year, obviously the 2017 class of running backs was like one of the greater classes of like you had Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Fournette, who signed a deal with the Buccaneers, Dalvin Cook, Mixon, Ekeler, Kareem Hunt, Matt Breida, Marlon Mack, and all of these guys basically Eckler's got an extension. Cook got an extension. Kamara got an extension. McCaffrey got an extension. Fournette signed a deal. Kareem Hunt also got an extension. So why is there such a sudden increase in the value of running back? Like before now, running backs were like at max getting paid 15, and then like if you're like Christian McCaffrey status, 16 mil. So why do you think like all of a sudden teams are handing us such high RB extensions?
Yeah, so I think that teams are starting to understand the value of running backs a little bit more than they were a couple of years ago. If you look a couple of years ago, a lot of running backs were just like worried about not getting paid at all, right? And I think the start was Christian McCaffrey becoming a superstar. You look at Christian McCaffrey; he carries that Carolina offense, and I think that it's definitely running backs, in my opinion, are really undervalued in this league. And I think that I think teams are starting to realize the importance of them. And as a result, they're obviously paying more star running backs. I just think that you shouldn't the running backs that have been getting paid. You can see that they're two-way backs. They're not just running. They're just not just running backs that just run the football. They can be used as receivers as well. So I think that's the main thing you see in the trend of signing running backs. And I think that is definitely important for the running backs to get their money, or else like it's going to be really hard to find good running backs in the NFL in the future.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, congratulations to all these guys like getting paid. Like, they're obviously setting like good future for like other potential good running backs with like deals coming up, potentially Saquon Barkley, guys like that. And this is gonna do it for our breaking news video on Dalvin Cook's extension. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.